Hi Chen, thank you for sending in your first essays for correction and well done getting this far in the course. You're clearly making great progress and I hope I can give you some useful feedback here. Okay, first essay to do with schools and education. Should schools be entertaining? Just reading through, I'm a little confused as to how you're arguing this because your first paragraph here you say, yes, there can be great benefits, especially for young learners. Your second paragraph you're saying, no, books only. But then you say, but it's okay to have sport. So you need to maybe think about the cohesion going through here and the coherence. So I'm not quite sure if you're arguing that sport is entertainment or sport is okay. The argument isn't terribly clear to me. The other point just I'd make on layout is that you're too long here. 294 is definitely too long. The suggestion's 250. So when you get to 270 words, 275, that should really be your max because the examiner will stop marking. Okay, so let's have a look at some of this. So in recent years, there has been a lot of debate. I would take, or you can say debate and concern, okay, from various parents and societies as to whether or over whether. You need to put that in here. You're in a very great complex structure, but it needs to be completely perfect. As to whether the way of teaching in schools should include more entertainment, I would put. It's just a little bit simpler. Whereas, contrasting ideas, some people argue that education or learning should be strictly from books, okay, or coaching should be strictly from books. It is not clear what you're referring back to, so you need to put in a new noun here, okay. I strongly support the idea that schools should be for learning and teaching from subscribed textbooks, okay, and maybe join up here, and this essay will explain this using examples from, tell me where from, the IMF and Harvard University. Okay, so then that makes it into a really nice solid introduction. Capital letters here, on the one hand, on the other hand, okay, to start your arguments. On the one hand, there's ample evidence, okay, yeah, there's ample evidence and sources, yeah, alright, there's ample evidence and sources to prove that coaching is possible through entertainment. Now, instead of repeating this word entertainment quite a lot, which is, I mean, it's okay, but you would lose marks for not trying to vary your lexis. Let's say what we mean by entertainment through, we could say extra activities or alternative activities, something like that, such as playing, dancing and music, yeah. Entertainment or these activities, so you could refer back to that, play a vital role in young learners' education or young learners' development, something like that. Recent years, especially while teaching to low grade, okay, yeah, and teaching and recently or nowadays, teaching to low grade learners usually follows this approach. Okay, so you're going to use present tense because you're talking about what happens now. It's a fact. Young learners, you don't need the, are physically active and enjoy or benefit from learning with audio and video files or with rhythm and movement from audio and video files. Just change that around a tiny bit. For example, okay, you don't need a capital E here. And if you're using, for example, don't use as per because that is like you're duplicating here. So, for example, take out that. Empirical evidence by institutions found that 60% of children absorb, so present tense here, absorb learning or absorb facts or something like that, and you do another word in there, quicker this way than in a traditional way of coaching in schools. Okay, quicker like this. So you need to reference back what you're talking about, which is that learning from the audio and video. Okay, in addition, role play can be extremely beneficial or can be fun and beneficial for younger children. Okay, you've got some nice ideas, you're using examples, the structure in the paragraph is great, just needs to be a tiny bit clearer where you're going. Okay, on the other hand, educating strictly from books, yeah, will create, okay, yep, that's fine, will create a strong base for adolescents who are, I would say, preparing for competitive exams. Attending an exam literally means turn up on the day and do the exam. So you need the word preparing for competitive exams. Tutors must teach, yes, you don't need them, must teach general subjects such as mathematics, science and social something. We don't have a subject called social. You'd have to say social history or something like that. Teenagers will be aware of their nation's history, or should be aware. And plan their future, be able to plan their future, something like that. For instance, and then we're going to take out as per and the, you don't need that either. For instance, research done on the 15 to 20 age group by Harvard University, comma, because it's getting quite long here, indicates that tutors, now you need to have the word who, because you're going to a relative clause, who solely educate, I would say, or who solely rely on textbooks, obtain higher scores in their thesis and semester papers. Okay, hang on. Tutors who educate students, now you're implying that the tutors get better marks themselves. Tutors who rely solely on educating students from textbooks obtain higher marks in their thesis and semester papers. That would be okay. Okay. Now, I'm a bit confused here because to me, I think that should be up here. If you're going to suddenly mention sport, along with soul learning, they must include sport. If you want to put it back here, you're going to have to say, however, the best results come with adding sport as well, or something like that. So for me, that sentence just needs a different, maybe you could put, however, the research also indicates that along with soul learning, education institutes could include extra activities for even better results, or something like that. So you're comparing adding sport compared to not doing any sport. So to conclude, okay, with the examples above, I strongly agree that schools must teach strictly for study. Must teach strictly for study. Oh, hang on. Must teach strictly. You could take out that. Must teach strictly for study when teaching high school students with little physical activity. Okay, school authorities, however, or some school authorities could include, this word doesn't exist in English, sport spirit in there. Sport activities, sport opportunities in their everyday syllabus. Okay, so here you're contradicting yourself. You're saying only use a book, and then you're saying, oh, but it's okay, do sport. So do you see what I mean? It's a bit hard to follow where your argument's going. But otherwise, there's some good stuff in there. You need to just look at your work on prepositions coming after some of these words, and just tidy up a little bit on the organisation. Okay, but good work, and you can cut here. So maybe when you do your rewrite, just cut it down a bit. Okay, let's look at your task 2, your second one. Okay, so in this second essay, you've got some really good stuff. Your layout is much clearer. Your argument's much easier to follow. So well done on that. Okay, let me just pick up a few little things here. Some grammar things coming up. Okay, it is undeniably, it is an undeniable truth, or it is undeniably true. Okay, so either of those. That. Okay, now you have to say doing an enjoyable activity with a child. We're talking about doing it with the child, not the child doing it on their own. So entering into an enjoyable activity with a child, or spending time doing an enjoyable activity with young minds. Okay, yeah, can develop strong skills. Okay, don't repeat strong. I absolutely agree that children, plural, can pick up skills while playing games and puzzles faster than during the traditional approach of reading. Okay, now in earlier days, you should say, now do you mean in earlier days like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, or do you mean early days learning, which is the young, like school for small children? Not quite sure what you mean there, but you may, depending on what you mean, need to change your tense. So if you mean it was a long time ago, you should put there was, great emphasis on learning, ing, you need an ing there, from reading. This capital T essay will explain both the views, okay, using examples from wherever, or using examples. Okay. On one hand, young minds are great observers. Now, you've said young minds here. Try not to repeat. You could say small children, something like that, are great observers. Yes, absolutely. You need to have and. Skills development, or their skill development, is faster with fun activities such as identifying and collecting colours. Yeah, nice examples there, really good, like that. For example, yes, you got this perfect. Recent research by institutions stated that forcing children, plural, to read from books. Now, this word doesn't exist, and I would be very careful saying is, okay, because this probably isn't a real example. So you should say can be, so stand back from it, can be detrimental and can adversely affect cognitive growth. You're not talking about physical growth here, you're talking about mental growth or something like that. Which, join it up, could, be careful again there, lead to the development of bad behaviour or something like that. Just rework that sentence a bit. New capital letter here. Through playing, comma, infants can develop social and cognitive skills. Absolutely. However, furthermore, don't say however, because you're not contrasting the idea, you're adding to the idea. So furthermore, when a child shows interest on shows an interest in art, playing puzzles and games can encourage them. Okay? You don't need really, you've had furthermore here. You can put additionally. Children always enjoy learning from field trips rather than learning in a classroom environment. Yeah, okay, I like that. You've got some good points there. Just tidy it up a little bit. Okay? On the other hand, capital letter. Reading in itself has no age limits. Yeah, and instead of but. There is no study. No study. You don't need is. No study states that it's mandatory for infants. Okay? Or maybe though would be better. For instance, in Western countries, schools focus on learning, ing again, from playing. You could take out all that actually, on learning from games and puzzles. Institutions help to bring awareness and the benefits of reading in children. Okay? Or institutions, yeah. Additionally, bedroom culture, yes, I'm not sure what bedroom culture is, so maybe I change that around. So bedrooms can be used for making reading fun by using wall sticky notes and charts. Yeah, I like that idea. Okay, another important source for infants to learn is bedtime stories from parents and grandparents, which, this is a great idea, well done, which passes on the tradition of reading from generation to generation. Just develop that idea. It's a great idea, really important. Just develop it a tiny bit, okay? So to conclude, I don't think you need with the above examples there. Fun activities, okay, I believe that fun activities bring more advantages to young or to early age children or something, to the early age, than reading, although reading should be encouraged but not mandated, because, and we're not going to repeat fun activities again, because it is important to encourage creativity and original ideas as young as possible. Something like that will work. Okay, so you've got some really, really good stuff here. The second one is definitely better than the first essay, just from a coherence point of view. Both of them you're answering the task, so well done on that. So task achievement, fantastic. A few grammatical things to pick up on, and just on your language, so lexis, see if you can find some synonyms, so different words, just to make it a little bit more interesting and to avoid repetition. So well done, Chenn. Keep on going, and good luck with the next essays.